Hello, Dad here. It is Sunday. What is it, the 3rd of August, something like that? Oh, the 4th, Sunday, the 4th of August, 2019. I just wanted to make a quick vid. Last weekend was wonderful. I had a chance to go back to Missouri, be with the family. And I came back, and I've been busy teaching some youngsters at work some of the basics of the trade. And we had the Gilroy shooting, and then we had El Paso, and then yesterday was Dayton. And I've got some friends that, for the most part, have disavowed me because I have the temerity to try to put things in historical perspective. For the shootings in El Paso, Gilroy, and Dayton, were they evil? Yes, they were evil. Were the people evil? Yes, the people were evil. But the argument is that all of these shootings are being done by the alt-right for the purpose of killing brown people because of alleged comments not alleged, but comments that are being perceived as racist made by the president. And what I don't hear is the same kind of vitriol used against last month's Colorado shooter, who is a transgendered kid. It didn't fit the narrative, so it didn't keep playing in the media very much. And the Colorado shooter several years ago was a leftist, and he shot at people. And people are very selective in their indignation, which is concerning to me. But I think what's most concerning or disconcerting is that people are not looking at the fact that evil is the problem. The understanding of natural law, I'm not talking about natural selection because that gets into an evolutionary quagmire about how the fittest survive, and then you get into the whole garbage arguments about, racial superiority and stuff like that. I just wish people were intellectually honest enough to look at life for what it is, and that the basic premise of most monotheistic religions that I'm familiar with anyway is to understand that all people are children of God and have an inherent right to life and dignity, and that nobody has the right to summarily decide to take away the life of somebody else, except in the case of under moral contract theory, if someone is a bad actor and decides to voluntarily murder other people, then society has a right for the good order and society and good order of that society to take capital punishment as a means, not only as a deterrent to prevent murder, but also as a means to honor the lives of innocents. And I understand there's people that will argue that point. But it has to be done through a systematized vetting and legal procedure. And again, when I was an investigator with the Department of Corrections and a corrections officer, a lot of the people that I dealt with that were murderers and rapists, child molesters, as long as they were sober, they tended to be fairly easy to get along with. And I have a hard time, again, as a corrections officer and investigator, as a reserve deputy, I have a hard time having people getting upset and cussing at me and telling me that my years of experience in life have no place in an intellectual discussion when they're all, have reached the fabulous age of the mid-20s and have lived pleasantly sheltered lives and have the privilege of going to college and not having to have a rigorous intellectual debate about hardly anything. And granted, there's a lot of hubris in youth anyway. And I hope, for their sake, that they never have to encounter real evil in this life. Fortunately, I was never involved in any kind of shooting. I never had to... I drew down on a lot of people in order to de-escalate situations. I've never been in a situation where I've been in a firefight. But I've had the opportunity to, whether it's arresting somebody that has committed a rape or robbery, arrested people that have shot at other people, but by the time we got there, it was just a matter of taking a suspect down and arresting them, and then processing and all that. And then later on, I had the opportunity to keep these bad actors away from polite society. so people can go for walks at night and take their kids to the park and raise their kids in a semi-peaceful and orderly society, which society is not brought primarily by the courtesies and sanction of the state. Orderly and peaceful societies start with orderly and peaceful people who have a moral code that they choose to voluntarily live by a code. For some people, that's, being a good secular humanist. To a lot of us, it's having a religious code that we live by that impels us to treat everybody as equals and to love our fellow men. And even when I was arresting people or having a use of force incident, I never did so with anger in my heart. And most of the guys I know don't have anger in their hearts. They don't seek to hurt somebody just because they disagree with their lifestyle. Use of force just happened to be what was necessary to bring a bad situation to an end. And not a lot of doughy-eyed, well-meaning, but misinformed people will understand that concept. Nobody I know likes violence. Sometimes it's a necessary thing to protect those you love. And most of the studies that I've read or heard about dealing with those who are willing to use violence, which is only about 2% of the population. 1% do so for the sheer love of violence. They're the sociopaths. And the other 1% are those who are willing to use violence because they love. They love people, they love their family, they love freedom, they love liberty. And they don't have a lot of tolerance for those who just use violence for either the sexual thrill or for the purposes of trying to impose their will on other people for purposes of domination and control. And that's why I like free societies, free governments. I tend to be pretty much a libertarian in a lot of my views, although I'm a registered Republican. there's some things I just can't handle when it comes to some libertarian thought. Not all. I'm not talking about libertine. Anyway, it's kind of late at night, and I just wanted to share some thoughts. And I hope that all of my friends on the left can understand a little bit more about why people are pro-limited government and want a world in which we can be free to choose how we live our lives instead of having the government prescribe thought and action in all that we do. Oh well, it's an interesting time. I think scripturally we're kind of right where we are supposed to be. And that we can choose the better part. Every person is capable of great good or great evil. And I hope that more people will choose the great good. And that we can have a world and a country where children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren can live lives of liberty and freedom and not have proscribed behaviors enforced by a Minority Report sort of world. Like social credits and stuff like that China's doing. And I was glad I could ramble on. But anyway, love you guys. Thank you for spending some time with Dad. And maybe I won't be so tired next time. Have a good day. And pray for good things to happen. And that men's hearts, and that's a generic term for some people, that of course that's inclusive of women also. So don't get your panties in a wad. And I say that, I hope that men's hearts will turn to God, and that God will have mercy on us in spite of ourselves. All right, well, you have a wonderful night. Take care. Bye-bye.